Hello everybody, my name is Charlie and welcome back to a brand new episode of The Horror of Skaro. So yes, I'm back with another Season 2 episode of Dr. Wen, and since it is a Tuesday, then I'm doing a new chapter of my fan series. So, as you will know, recently I did a Dr. Wen Season 2 trailer, basically just kind of explaining my new video schedule and the new kinds of content I'm going to be doing. So on Tuesdays and Fridays, then I do chapters of my fan series, and on Sundays I do reviews. Just this Sunday, a couple of days ago, then I actually did a review on the third Doctor story, The Demons. I definitely go and check that out. So yeah, since it is Tuesday, it's time for another chapter of my fan series. Coincidentally, it's the last chapter of my of this story of my fan series, and it's the second story called The Horror of Skaro. So this is a second Doctor Dalek story. The companion is Jamie, and the last cliffhanger was basically the Doctor had been captured and he was just being rescued by Jamie. If you haven't seen any of the other Horror of Skaros, then don't watch this because it really won't make any sense whatsoever. You kind of need to start from chapter 1, so I don't expect any new people to be watching this. Most of the time, all chapters in one story have the same amount of viewers. So anyway, feel free to, by the end of this, say your opinions on the story as a whole. I'd really appreciate that, and give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that. I recently have 40 subscribers, which is pretty awesome, but yes, I would still like it. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the main portion of this video, and I hope you enjoy. So this is The Horror of Skaro, Chapter 6. Suddenly, a booming noise vibrated through the room, sending showers of dust tumbling down. It appeared to be coming from a black metal door in front of him. The booming noise happened another 3 times, each creating a larger dent in the door. Finally, it gave, and in came the person he'd never been happier to see. Jamie. "Jamie," the Doctor cried, the relief in his voice undisguised. "You came back." The Doctor's now thin and pale face brightened with happiness. A grin spread across Jamie's face too. He had just found his best friend. Jamie pulled an odd-looking contraption from his jacket and attached it to the machine that he was attached to. The Doctor's shackles snapped, and he fell onto the chipped stone floor with a thud. Groaning, but still overjoyed, he stood up. "Come on, we don't have much time," Jamie announced, his eyes surveying the room. "Did he really keep you here for 2 months? His nose wrinkled at the dingy smell of the place. Tugging on the Doctor's creased grey sleeve, and Jamie bolted for the door he had just destroyed. The Doctor following close behind, the two emerged in a room that Jamie didn't just come from. It was fairly small and had a low ceiling. Tables lined most of the room, sat underneath mounds and mounds of devices and machines. Vials of yellow liquid hung on the walls, scattered in between a row of tall silvery cylinders. The Doctor's eyebrows raised, his eyes looking increasingly worried as he scanned his eyes across the technology. Jamie, while still incredibly confused, continued to walk, hoping that the two weren't trapped in a labyrinth of this minister's design. Noticing another door, Jamie hurried over, hoping to find the portal back to Parallel Earth. The Doctor's arm shot out in front of Jamie before he could turn its handle. "Wait," the Doctor commanded, surprisingly serious. "Could you please explain everything that has been going on in the last 9 weeks, Jamie?" "Okay," Jamie spoke. "I don't have much time, but we escaped safely that day a couple of months ago, and we found a small boat. We sailed to Japan and hid in a rebellion bunker underground to avoid all the Daleks. Just a few hours ago, Alanto, the missing rebel, found us. She found a portal, leftover Dalek technology, and we managed to program it to take us to Skaro." The Doctor's blood ran cold, and both his hearts seemed to skip a beat as Jamie said the name of the planet. We're on Skaro," whispered the Doctor, stammering. This was unusual for him. We need to leave now." "I know, Doctor. What better way to leave than to find our portal back to Earth?" "Okay, Jamie, good point. Let's go through that door." The Doctor's pale, slightly wrinkled hand clasped the door handle and began to rotate it, every degree it moved seeming to take hours. With a squeak, the door opened, and Jamie sank to his knees in despair. Whenever the Doctor entered a room, he usually surveyed the people inside it first. In this case, there were 6 people in the room. Besides the Doctor and Jamie, one was a tall figure dressed in obsidian black, spiky armour, its plate seeming to shift of their own accord. The second face the Doctor saw was the familiar face of his old companion, Ian. However, this was a parallel universe version. The third was a woman he'd never seen before, but he presumed she was Alanto. She was tall and slender and had flowing black hair that parted at her shoulders. Finally, the Doctor spotted Kaldor, with his dazzling blue-gold eyes and close-cropped chestnut hair. The next thing the Doctor noticed was what the people were doing. The Minister was perched atop a throne, seemingly made of black glazed glass. However, Kaldor, Ian, and Alanto were chained to the ground, seeming to wince in pain. Jamie's eyes widened. "You know, it's easy to fool people when they're already fooling themselves," the Minister spoke, in that low, unforgiving voice. "You've all fallen right into my trap, and now you're here, I might as well give you a little insight into my plans. Doctor, you've always had a taste of flying off in your TARDIS, outsmarting some aliens, and saving people. All I needed to do was find an army big enough that you'd save people from them. Or try to, anyway. I searched through the cosmos, and it wasn't long before I found these." The Minister gestured to a statue of a Dalek in the corner of a room. "Daleks, infamously brutal and merciless. I stole their genetic code and took it to this universe, where I simply replicated it enough times to have an army at my disposal. I destroyed this Earth and hacked your TARDIS to take you here. From then, it was child's play trying to capture you." The Doctor's face began to scrunch in concentration. A high-pitched ringing sound came from him, and Jamie could swear he saw wisps of yellow energy come from his hands. "Why this universe? Why travel to another parallel universe just to capture me?" "Who do you think created this universe?" the Minister of War replied. "I see," the Doctor spoke, evidently concentrating for his life. "That sounds like a great plan, you know. Foolproof, even. It's just a shame that it isn't going to work." "Why?" the Minister boomed. "I'm the Doctor. I'm over 500 years old. I've defeated more enemies, killed more species than you would ever believe, or I would ever want to. I've seen planets burn and freeze and die, and I've defeated, outsmarted my enemies time and time again, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen, Silurians. So if you think that you're any different to them, Minister of War," the Doctor's hands were glowing yellow, "then you're wrong." The Doctor spoke calmly. Regeneration energy shot from his hands, destroying the pillars of the room and exploding the ceiling, showering everyone in rubble. The Minister of War stood up, but the Doctor aimed his arms at the armoured figure, hopefully stunning him long enough to get to the portal. However, the Minister held his arm out, and moved the regeneration energy in front of him, in a ball. It grew to the size of the Minister himself, and somehow he absorbed it. It went straight through his armour and right into his body, and did not come out yet. The Doctor's face felt like it was burning. So did the rest of his body, his eyes watering, his palms sweating and stinging. He stopped using the regeneration energy before it killed him, permanently, or before the Minister absorbed any more. "Run!" the Doctor bellowed, scared as to how the Minister absorbed the regeneration energy. Only one species in the universe could do that. Kaldor, Ian, Alanto, Jamie, and the Doctor all bolted to a side door, relieved to find that it led to a small room. In its centre sat an obsidian-rimmed, purplish portal. Jamie, Kaldor, and Alanto stepped through the portal, hopefully safe on Earth. Seconds before the Doctor and Ian were going to get back to safety, the door flew open and ripped off its hinges. The Minister briskly walked towards them, evidently angry. Ian loaded his gun. "Ian, what are you doing?" the Doctor whispered. "What I have to," said Ian, as his finger tightened on the gun's trigger, and a burst of energy shot straight at the Minister. His knees buckled and he collapsed onto the floor, a pool of blood leaking from his chest. But it wasn't Ian's aggressive action, or the still lasting side effects of his energy burst that horrified him. No, it was the yellow regeneration energy shooting from the Minister's arms, legs and head. "He's regenerating," the Doctor spoke, stumbling backwards in fear as he did so. We need to go, now." He stepped through the portal, closely followed by Ian, and the portal disappeared, trapping the Minister on Skaro. 1 hour later. "So, Doctor, where to next?" Ian queried, glad to be back in the TARDIS. "How about space?" the Doctor spoke, jokingly recalling to a time that Jamie had used that word when he wanted to go to another planet. "Space it is," Jamie joked, grinning. Doctor, Jamie spoke more seriously, who is the Minister of War? How do you know about him? Originally, I thought he was just some sort of weird effect, deja vu sort of thing, false memories, hallucinations. He seemed to pop up every now and then in my life, just standing there, watching me, observing. Then, my friend Ian, the real Ian, a couple of 100 years ago, was put into a dream state by the Minister of War. It scared him almost to death. The Minister hasn't done anything since, and I haven't seen him since, but I suspect he'll come back. He needs to use me for something. Who is he, though? Jamie questioned. Well, Jamie, there is only one person who hates me and can regenerate, the Doctor spoke solemnly. Do you know who it is? Okay, that is the end of the Horror of Skaro. So, yes, there is some implied reasoning as to who the Minister of War could be. We will have a see. So there are obviously another 10 more stories in this fan series. The next one of these is the Blood of Silver, and that's actually the next video I'm going to be doing. Blood of Silver Chapter 1 is going to be a third Doctor story with, spoilers, the Cybermen, and it will be released on Friday. So yes, I hope you look forward to that, and I will see you on Friday. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Also, comment your feedback on also what your favourite chapter in this story has been, and whether you prefer this or Count Your Shadows, the first story. I'd love to hear your opinions on that as well. So I will see you on Friday for the Blood of Silver Chapter 1. Goodbye.